What would you do if the future you worked for your entire life vanished overnight? Could you rebuild everything you lost when the clock runs out? For 6 months, I'd been living in a dream. I could still feel the warmth of Sarah's hand in mine at my retirement party, the sound of our grandkids laughing in the background as my son, Mark, gave a toast. "We made it," she'd whispered. 40 years of loyalty had finally paid off. Our future was pinned to a map on our kitchen wall. Red for the Grand Canyon, blue for the coast of Maine. Those pins were a promise, but in my hand was a single, thin envelope. It felt unnervingly light, the cheap paper rough against my skin. If only I had known that one piece of paper held the power to erase 40 years of sacrifice. I can still feel the tear of the paper seal, a sound like a rip in the fabric of my life. My eyes scanned the page, but the words swam in a fog of corporate jargon. Then one phrase came into sharp, horrifying focus. It was a betrayal I never saw coming. I thought losing my pension was the worst thing that could happen. I was wrong. The bedrock of my future was about to dissolve into a terrifying, bottomless freefall. And it all started with one shocking question I could not answer. How can a guarantee just disappear? It's funny what you remember. Not my first day at Sterling Automotive Parts. That's just a blur of nervous energy and the smell of hot metal. But I remember the 5-year anniversary pin my supervisor gave me. "Stick with us, kid," he'd said, "and this place will take care of you." I pinned that promise to my heart. I never imagined it would pierce me one day. Sterling wasn't just a factory, it was our town. It sponsored the Little League teams, and its summer picnic was the social event of the year. It was a place where 3 generations of the same family worked side by side. You worked hard, you were loyal, and the company was loyal back. The pension was the ultimate symbol of that pact. I met Sarah there. Our first date was at the diner across the street. I remember one Thanksgiving, years later, the house filled with the scent of turkey, our kids running wild. I looked at Sarah across the crowded table, and we shared a silent smile. This life, this noise, this beautiful chaos. Sterling made it all possible. Every 2 weeks, a little piece of my paycheck was deferred, a seed planted in the Sterling pension plan. It was a defined benefit plan, the gold standard, a specific, calculated amount of money every single month. It felt so much more real than volatile 401ks. The stock market was a casino. The pension was a fortress. Over the years, we built that life. We bought the house, got the dog, and had our kids. I climbed the ladder at Sterling from the factory floor to plant logistics manager. 40 years. I saw friend after friend retire, their faces beaming. Each party was another confirmation. See? It works. Just a few more years. "Frank, are you sure we're saving enough?" Sarah would ask sometimes, looking over the bank statements. "The factory seems quieter than it used to. What if something happens to the company?" "We have the pension, honey," I'd always say, full of confidence. "It's guaranteed." That word, guaranteed. I built our entire world on top of it. What I didn't know then was that the promise holding up our world was already crumbling. The letter was clinical, cold. It didn't speak of 40 years of service. It spoke a language I didn't understand. Insolvency, Chapter 7, liabilities. Then, the sentence that stopped my heart. The Sterling pension plan is significantly underfunded and will be terminated. My first reaction was denial. A mistake. Pensions are protected, right? It's the law. I spent the next 48 hours in a frantic haze, the glow of the laptop screen lighting my face in the dead of night. The silence in the house was heavy, broken only by my frantic typing. I learned about a federal law called ERISA, passed to protect people like me. It requires companies to keep pension funds separate. For a moment, I felt a surge of relief. See? Protected. Protected? Not even close. The real nightmare starts when a plan is underfunded. For decades, the company was supposed to be filling our retirement fund, but they hadn't been. I learned about the Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation, the PBGC, a government agency that's supposed to step in. Again, a wave of hope. Okay, so the PBGC will make it right. But the devil is in the details. The PBGC doesn't guarantee your full pension. The guarantee? It was smoke. It has legal limits based on your age. Sarah appeared in the doorway, a ghost in the dim light. "Frank," she whispered, her voice fragile. "What does it mean?" I stared at the screen, the numbers blurring. For someone like me, the maximum was far less than the $3,200 a month I was promised. My hands fell from the keyboard. I turned to Sarah and just whispered, "Oh God." The signs had been there, hidden in plain sight. I vaguely remembered getting annual pension funding notices, dense documents I'd filed away, trusting. My trust was a blindfold. The fortress I had believed in was a house of cards. The letter was just the official death certificate for a future that had been stolen long ago. The weeks that followed were a blur of shame and sleepless nights. My mind just did the math, over and over. The $3,200 a month was gone. The PBGC eventually sent its own packet. Even the envelope looked official, like a verdict. They confirmed they were now the trustee, and we would receive an estimated benefit. The first estimated check arrived. I let the envelope sit on the kitchen counter for a whole day. I could hear the quiet clink of Sarah setting down her coffee cup. The silence in the room was deafening as she stood beside me, her hand on my shoulder. I finally tore it open. My hands trembled as I unfolded the paper. I looked at the number and then I looked at Sarah. I watched the hope drain from her eyes, replaced by a devastating, blank calm. She simply folded the letter, placed it on the counter, and walked out of the room without a word. Just under $1,800. A little more than half. That missing $1,400 a month was everything. It was the anniversary trip to Italy we'd put on hold for 40 years. It was the travel fund to see our grandson in California. It was our peace of mind. One afternoon, without a word, Sarah quietly took the map of the United States off the kitchen wall, rolled it up, and put it in the back of a closet. Then came the real cuts. The weekly dinner out, selling Sarah's grandmother's locket, the premium cable, all gone. At church, I saw a guy I'd worked with for 30 years. We caught each other's eye across the aisle and just gave a slow, tired nod. A silent acknowledgement of our shared defeat. Just when I thought we'd adjusted, a healthcare bill arrived. We were on Medicare, but our supplemental plan premiums suddenly felt enormous. I remember the crinkle of the paper in my hand as I gripped the edge of the kitchen table. Sarah saw my face and whispered, "How will we pay for this?" At 66, I was polishing my resume. The humiliation was profound. In the bathroom mirror at the hardware store, I practiced a smile that didn't reach my eyes. The fluorescent light seemed to buzz with failure. I'd put on the bright orange vest, the ache in my feet a constant reminder, and forced out the words. "Welcome to BuildMart," I'd say, the sound hollow in my own throat, to people living the life I was supposed to have. The weekend before we put the house on the market, I found Sarah in the hallway, touching a photo frame before wrapping it in paper. She was packing a box labeled simply, "Memories." "We have to sell the house, don't we?" she finally whispered that evening. I could only nod, my throat too tight to speak. It felt like erasing the life we built, one box at a time. I thought the story ended with losing the house. But in that loss, I learned 3 truths that could save someone else's future. We moved into a small 2-bedroom apartment. No big yard, no garage. But the free fall had stopped. We were on new, shaky ground, but we were on it together. First, never put all your eggs in one basket. Our faith in the guaranteed pension was our undoing. A healthy 401k, a robust IRA, they create a safety net with multiple ropes. If one snaps, the others can hold you. Second, you must be the master of your own financial destiny. I outsourced my trust. I now tell everyone, read your plan documents. If your pension sends an annual notice, don't file it away. Look for the funding ratio. That one number could have changed everything for me. If it's under 100%, start asking questions. It's your future, and nobody will care about it as much as you do. Third was the value of independent advice. A good, fiduciary financial advisor would have looked at our over-reliance on the pension and sounded the alarm. It would have been the best money we ever spent. In our little apartment, we put these lessons into practice. With an advisor we finally hired, we invested the proceeds from the house sale and created a real budget. It wasn't the retirement we dreamed of, but it was a life we were in control of. I'm sharing this story not for pity, but as a warning. A guaranteed pension is only as strong as the company that backs it. When retirement goes wrong, what happens next? You have to be prepared before the crisis hits. Take a hard, honest look at your own retirement plan. Do you understand every piece of it? Are you diversified, or are you too reliant on one single source of income? If this story has resonated with you, please subscribe. We share stories, expert advice, and practical strategies to help you build a truly secure retirement. Your financial education is your best defense. And most importantly, if you feel even a little uncertain, I implore you, don't wait for the letter to arrive in the mail. Talk to a qualified fiduciary financial advisor. Do it now. Your future self will thank you. The orange vest from the hardware store hangs in my closet. I don't wear it anymore. We live carefully, but we live without the crushing panic of those first few months. We found a new kind of peace, one forged in hardship. On our small apartment balcony, Sarah has started a little container garden, tomatoes and herbs soaking up the sun. The big map is gone, but we have a small framed picture of the Maine coastline on our wall. The other day, our grandson visited. He pointed at the picture and asked, "Beach?" Sarah smiled, and for the first time in a long time it reached her eyes. "One day," she said. "The company I gave my life to is just an empty shell now. But I exist. Sarah and I, we exist. We are more than what was taken from us. The promise was a lie. But resilience, that's something no bankruptcy can ever take away. Watch this next for another gripping tale of retirement gone wrong, plus the lesson you can't afford to miss.